welcome both of you to the Summit Series. We've got, we've got a good half an hour with you guys, so we'll let the other panelists arrive. How are you doing today? You all right?
Doing great.
Fantastic. Did I get the pronunciation of your name right, Tugce?
It's very close.
Very
I'm
close.
using Joy, which is simpler, shorter.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can call me Joy.
I'll take that. Do we have? We've got. I think we've got someone in the background trying to join, but I'll kick us off anyway.
Yeah, I just wanted to say Haggai is sorting out his camera, and Diego's sorting out his audio. They're both here, but we're awaiting their ability to go on stage. So, if you want to tee up fulfilling the potential of WebXR with Trent and Tugce, then we're ready to roll.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Okay. So, fulfilling WebXR's potential. Few things in the world right now for me have as much potential as WebXR. But of course, then that's a tall order, right? When you have such high expectations, everybody wants WebXR to get faster, better, for more people, more accessible. How happy are you with the rate of progress? I'm not saying 2022, but the rate, is it accelerating fast enough for you, Joy?
So I've been working with AR and VR since 2015, and a lot of things has changed. When I first started, we didn't even have the controllers. We were literally using the keyboard to navigate around. So from there to here, like sharing a link and being able to show what you're building to other people is amazing. It's super fast. And even I'm in the field for so long, it's so fast that even it's hard to keep up with this speed. So I'm happy with it, but is there a lot more potential in here? Of course, and it's exciting.
Exciting, lovely. All right, Trent, what do you think? Happy with the rate of progress?
Yeah, similar in a position to Joy. Like, we've been dabbling in this immersive XR space since about 2015, and I think it's funny the pattern where you're really optimistic and you're really hoping for this rapid change and things take a little bit longer, but then all of a sudden these massive paradigm moving moments burst open, and then things that you couldn't have even dreamt of are now possible. And it's exciting for us as a studio because we see tools and platforms like Play Canvas open up, I think, the capacity for creators to then go out and build and scale across multiple devices. All the announcements that came out at Connect from Jacob Rossi and the Immersive Web team are really promising, and seeing that break into mixed reality is definitely a new horizon that we're really pumped for. So I feel like we're making good progress.
Good progress. That's really, really hopeful. What's the next big thing for WebXR that you want to see happen, Joy?
So for me, the biggest challenge is still the limitation with the file sizes. And I'm a prototyper. I mostly when I design something, I have a lot of polygons. When I write code, it's a sloppy code. So it's but I am so my main focus is mostly creating many different versions of something as fast as possible. So speed is the most important thing to me, and ease of creating things is very important to me. So so this is my personally, I hope that I will be able to create things fast, and I won't need to optimize things so much that it's taking most of my time. So I'm able to create things in minutes with literally using my iPad in 3D, but then being able to put it into the final product takes much longer time. So my expectation is that second process of optimization will be much faster, easier, and hopefully even removed from the roadmap.
Thank you for that, Joy. And we've got Haggai with us here. Hi, Haggai. Thanks for joining.
Finally, huh?
Yeah. Haggai, we're talking about what is the next big. So just to catch you up, I asked how happy Joy and Trent were with the rate of progress of WebXR, and they both seemed relatively happy. And now I've just asked them what's the next big thing they want to see WebXR bring us or deliver. And Joy's just shared that maybe optimized and simplified workflows and creative workflows. I'll hand it over to Trent, and then I'm going to go, and the three of you can take over the conversation. You okay with that, Haggai?
Yeah, I thought I was driving it, but sure, it's
yeah. I was just filling in the space, so I'll hand over. I'll just let Trent answer the question of what he wants to see next, and then it's all over to you. So Here you go.
Nice. Cheers. Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, great. Next big thing, definitely, spatial computing. And it's so exciting to see yesterday mixed reality come out into the mainstream and really be, I think, driven into the immersive web space. So I know our team at least are really pumped by how these types of experiences become more contextual and relevant in the real world. We obviously think so much about the metaverse being this virtual space that we all, run off to, but having that, I think, transpire into the worlds and places that we share is really exciting and promising. So pretty pumped for that. And then I think also a big thing is just for creators to have commercial pathways. Like we were actually having a chat yesterday with our tech team about how you monetize WebXR experiences if they're freely accessible. So I'm pretty pumped to see how that will create the same opportunities that we heard about yesterday at Connect, where 1 in 3 apps on the Quest Store have generated $1 million or at least. And so how does that translate, I think, into the immersive web space to create more of a industry, I think, for creators and developers to actually make a living in this space, definitely.
Yeah, this is great. And Trent, I want to take it from exactly those words that you're just saying, immersive web. We all been dreaming about that, the immersive web that connects us virtually for a very long time. And I want to say that it really didn't start with the announcement of Mark Zuckerberg in July 2021 that Facebook will become metaverse company. And it also didn't start with the internet document that I put about 1.5 years before that at Meta that was titled The Roadmap to Metaverse. So whatever nebulous concept that is now everyone is calling metaverse started way before that. So maybe before diving into talking about the topic of this discussion, the WebXR premise specifically, I'd like to ask you, and again, I'm sorry, I'm giving you a long preamble here. Web 1.0, or the first web iteration, was about personal static web pages hosted on servers and was still quite limiting. Web 2.0, which is what we call the participative social web, with user-generated content, usability, interoperability for the first time for end user. And then Web 3.0, which is still, I would say, in an embryonic stage and evolving, include things like semantic web, where creating and sharing the content through search improve the web by allowing you to comprehend the meaning of the word. And then AI, that took all us by storm, and it took us to a new level. For example, if you're now talking about OpenAI GPT-3, the AI engine with over 175 billion deep learning parameters, or Google Brain with 1 trillion parameters, and then better connectivity to semantic metadata and accessibility of information for multiple applications, ubiquity, smart contract and blockchain, and of course, what's really dear to all of us here, I'm sure, and maybe most relevant for the discussion, is 3D graphics. So the question is Web 3.0 evolving to immersive web? And by immersive, I mean from the lens of virtual presence, agency, and connecting and sharing experiences in XR. And Trent, again, back to you for a second here. Maybe you can start here. I guess we don't have Diego, but would love to hear, because I know PHORIA has been creating some of the world's best XR experiences. So maybe you can share your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it also looks like Diego's jumped in. Good to see you. Great, yeah, definitely. I think we've had a little bit of a chat in the past, Haggai, on some of these pieces, and yeah, I think a lot of people see the metaverse and it's synonymous with Meta as a company, and like you're saying, there's nothing new here. It's just like a continual evolution, of this paradigm shift of the internet and how it's really, extending into this more immersive and spatial, substance that has greater depth, and meaning and value. And so, is the Web3 evolving to really give people more presence and agency? I really hope so. I think it really feels like a fundamental ingredient that we all need to be a part of, and definitely the challenges that we've faced trying to push out applications and the friction required to get them in the hands of users is definitely, evaporated when we have a link that we can click on and instantly jump into, a social experience, or, something that could completely open up maybe access for people all around the world, whether it be in classrooms or brands trying to translate, into this new space. There's so much potential. So I'm an optimist, and I definitely feel like it is heading in the right direction. It definitely feels like there's a big journey ahead of us. And definitely, even to Joy's point, like how do we actually hit the bar that it is at the same quality level as what we take for granted now with the existing apps and infrastructure that's out there? And I think until it's kind of more at parity, it's maybe not going to bring us across as easily as possible. So it's good to see some of these new moves being made, and some good high quality content getting out there that's setting a new bar. So I'm excited to be a part of that.
Thank you. That's well said. That's great. Diego, you kind of like me. We all joined a little bit late, but maybe you want to chime on that. I don't know if you got the question, but it's kind of asking about the Web 3.0 and how it is evolving to immersive web, and your thought. And just anything you want to add here.
So what's the question exactly? What's my opinion about the evolution of the web now that we can do immersive content too?
Yeah, so what I was asking, is Web 3.0 really evolving to be that whatever we envisioned from a long time ago as an immersive web, but I'm saying from the lens of virtual presence, agency, connecting and sharing the experiences in XR, that sort of experiences.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know where things are going. It's so exciting, and for me, it's hard to predict more than a month far in the future. What is exciting is like the web has been always about including any sort of media, right? At the beginning, it was text. After text, we got images. After images, we got video. And after video, we got 3D. And after 3D, we got AR and VR. So it's very cool, like web pages can leverage all these different kinds of media. And I cannot predict where it's gonna go, but I'm very excited. Some websites will start 2D and we'll have some VR content. Other websites will be like full immersive experiences. I don't know. I think everything is game in this space, and depending what you want to do, the kind of audience that you want to reach, and you will design your website accordingly. But so many possibilities. Yeah.
Great. Let me take it like, a notch in a little bit. I don't know if that's the right expression, but I've been kind of doing a little bit thinking about before this panel, and I think the web is literally littered right now with unsuccessful attempts to create the underlying technology, and in particular the needed standards that can provide that kind of interoperability and interconnectivity in the context of 3D immersive environment. For example, and I know I'm sure, Diego, you've been around this VRML, Edge Anim, X3D. These were some of the most popular ones in the early days. And typically they would get a little bit of traction and eventually they would fizzle out. For me, which maybe I've been around a bit longer than some of the others, I'm not saying it as a compliment to myself, just for me and for you others, it was the key and holy grail for immersive web. We were trying everything to find out that kind of protocol, the kind of magic language that allows us to connect. We're trying to put our hands and try things out. I'm telling you, in 2008 and 2009, I was already ready to give up because pretty much everything out there it just didn't cut it. And so, there were there were just too many hurdles at the time beyond the APIs. There were just that simply were too early, like hardware limitation, network bandwidth, UI UX. But here's the thing, okay? About a year ago, I was surprised to find out that one of these web-based protocols or operating system, if you want to call it, is Diego still there, or did he just jump out?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, can you hear me?
There was this is a protocol that was officially launched in 2001. In fact, survived and has been revamped, I think, by MIT, and recently was spun off as a new startup. I'm just going to throw it out. Like, anybody know which one I'm talking about?
No.
All right, so this is called Croquet. Croquet was the brainchild of Ellen Kay, initially from Apple, and Squeak and Smalltalk, David Smith, and a few other geniuses, I'd say. They had, and this is now we're talking 20 years ago, 3D virtual worlds, avatars, portals, contextual virtual collaboration, information that you can type in, edit things, and share, and much more. And of course, it was browser-based. This is 20 years ago. So I won't get into the details, but I think one of the interesting features of Croquet was that the user would get the same shared experience without the need for a central server. So let's think about it like peer-to-peer, right? That was kind of the name of the game at that time, right? And now we're talking about experience that are typically, hosted or governed by one organization, which I would say that kind of by default sometimes sounds like a deal breaker in terms of the interoperability, because somebody owns it, right? So, we can't really compare Croquet to WebXR, but I think we can bring it in as to put things in perspective. So now you guys, you've been around, I'd say, the WebXR trenches for quite a while. You've been driving major development and productions in that. And so the question to you now is WebXR, among all of those things that are out there, the winning ticket in this horse race for the killer app? And actually, I think I should call this killer non-app. If you know the difference, right? Because we're not talking apps anymore. Platform for immersive web. And in that context, is the idea of peer-to-peer like a Croquet dead? And actually, Diego, I want to go back to you, because I think that the stuff that you've done with A-Frame, which is so significant, and WebVR and the full VR browser in Supermedium, is important here. And if I got this right, and I don't know everything about A-Frame, but as I understand, it was really kind of built to have the immersive web straight out of HTML. So is this still viable? And maybe you can touch also on like authoring tools, like how A-Frame plays for WebXR and beyond that, and what else out there, whatever you like.
So the question is that if you like a full 3D experiences can be described as HTML, is that the question?
No, I would say it's a compound question. So I really want to understand, first of all, about the first part of this. Is really WebXR kind of the winning ticket here?
That one. I think, as Carmack said multiple times, it would be very clever and smart to discount the web, because it's the platform that always survives. Like the other platforms come and go, and the web remains. So in the long term, yes. I think it's gonna be always there. Like sometimes and for some application type of applications, and sometimes it's more relevant than others. But it's the constant. The web is always there and always relevant. It depends. Like these days, what I like from the web is that is you can develop and build your things in your own terms, right? There's no process to publish anything. You don't get imposed any tools. I developed A-Frame, but you can do whatever you want, right? I would love you to use A-Frame, but it's your choice, right? While if I develop for iOS, they give me Xcode, they give me a process I have to follow if I want to publish an application, and that's different for every single platform. And in the long term, as people realize, I just want to own my work. I just want to set the rules, and I want to publish on my own terms. I want to own my audience. the web is the best of all platforms. If you think about it, there's really no competition. If the web doesn't flourish more or faster in some niches like immersive, is because there's competing interest in big companies that are building their own closed ecosystems, and they deprioritize the features that are shipped in the browser. But in the long term, sooner than later, there will be pressure for them to implement those APIs. And yeah, and I think in the long term, WebXR is the winner.
WebXR is the winner?
Yeah, but the web in general. Yep.
Web is the winner. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, it's a good answer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take it a little. Let's dive into the experience, the XR experience itself for a minute. And Joy, I actually want to put this your way. So, and the question is to begin, and kind of like want to talk about, is WebXR really living to its potential and premise? Meta just released Quest Pro, as we all know by now. That was the day before yesterday, and there is some major technology improvement, like we haven't seen in previous generation, like foveated rendering, mirroring some of facial expression to avatars to make them more anthropomorphic and less canny. And I'm going to leave out the discussion about the possible negative implication of capturing human facial expression and gesture, which I think is really a whole ethical discussion, if we should even do that. But I can't help thinking about what Apple's CEO, Tim Cook, said recently. He said, and I'm quoting, VR is for set periods, but not a way to communicate well. And I would say that so far, this has been, from my experience, evidently in most of the VR experiences that I participated in, 30 minutes seems to be the maximum realistic boundary for someone to be in VR before they start to feel uncomfortable, jarred, or sometimes even sick. And it's been surprisingly hard to ask executive and decision makers to put on a VR headset. Pretty much every wannabe metaverse 3D world out there that I see, they're still 3D worlds and they're not VR. So which makes you think maybe we should just call these, sorry, crappy words sometimes I want to say, Meverse instead of metaverse. In fact, if we talk about the future of work, aka the announcement of Zuckerberg and Satya yesterday, was it yesterday? On XR collaboration with Microsoft and Meta, I can't help wondering if the experience, shared or otherwise, can be sustained in VR. And in parentheses, I'll tell you that I've been wondering if maybe that short battery life on a Quest Pro is rather intentional. In curating content, I can tell you on Oculus browser, and I put kind of some of, not including your content, Trent. I know I put some of the stuff out there, but I've kind of had the opportunity to see some of the worst experiences out there that I would say that to me felt many times like I'm picking through a periscope. Literally, you could take a look around as long as you're okay with having your body obey the artificial limitation of you turning around your head, which is nailed to the floor, or the eye view piece in that case, right? Kind of like what you're saying, like 3DOF, but to the point that you literally anchored through your head. So Joy, you've been focusing on UI UX in WebXR. Maybe you could start here and shed some light on that. Besides the advantage of not needing to download an app, is WebXR improving the VR experience? I'm not talking about AR. Are there viable ways now where UI UX in WebXR can make a big difference in adoption? Or perhaps we should accept the fact that the sweet spot for WebXR is in the 2D screens and the AR glasses. And so we should brace ourselves to the points in the future where they become mainstream. Does that kind of make sense, the question?
So there are different parts of the question, I think. There are many limitations that comes with the device, and there are ways to, I think, overcome those limitations. But I think the contribution of WebXR is to solve device dependency, but also it brings this another barrier that you design an experience that would work on on a phone or on a headset, which are very different experiences. And I agree with the part where there is like putting on the headset and being in an experience for a long time is very challenging. And it's like it's even shorter than 30 minutes. I find myself that I spend a lot of time in the beginning, especially in 2015, but later on I was like just spending time to look at what I feel and take it off. And you've seen me many times, Haggai, where I had the headset here,
True.
not like here. So what I find with being able to access the same experience on a desktop, for example, it doesn't give the same immersiveness. But once you were in that space, once you experience the thing, and you're using a space, for example, for a meeting, then you can have the same functionality on a desktop. You can have the same functionality on your phone, which is much more accessible, much easier to use, and it allows you to multitask. So this is a big, I think, other than the distribution aspect, other than being able to access masses, this thing I think makes WebXR stand out. And like Diego said, I agree that it's the winner ticket.
Great answer.
Yes.
Well, I love it. Trent, do you want to chime on that?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, I guess like to your question, Haggai, like, is it living up to its potential? You know, is VR in this instance like the paradigm that, you know, the web's going to evolve into? What are some of the limitations with that? Like, it's definitely clear, and I couldn't agree more, that the content currently in the WebXR space still feels restricted and limited. Feels like the kind of indie game kind of dynamic where we are doing the best with the tools that we've got and having to kind of throttle back maybe the quality. And even with our Project Raw, you know, we had to find an art direction that really lent strength to the WebXR, you know, infrastructure. And so I think, yeah, with that in mind, like the strengths right now aren't so much in the content space, but yeah, to Joy's point, it really is, I think, the strength in cross-platform and ultimately meeting people where they're at, right? And that to me is what the metaverse represents. You know, it's not going to be an app. I don't think anyone's going to own the metaverse. I don't think it's necessarily going to be this one place that we all go and hang out. It is really just a continuation of how the internet is evolving and becoming more immersive and hopefully more human and more open. And I definitely feel like that's really what presents the most promise is the accessibility. And then as the infrastructure comes up in terms of more power and compute and remote rendering, then I think it's going to be, you know, at the same bar. And so, yeah, even using the Quest Pro, we've been testing it on a project currently, and having mixed reality pass through, I found myself typing on my computer in mixed reality and kind of forgot for a second I was wearing a headset because I was seeing through the screen in front of me. And so I think some of these big shifts will take place. And it's not to say VR's not enough. I think it is perfect for those that love VR and live in it and play in it and work in it. But it's not to say that we've got to shut the door on all these other mediums that people really soak up and embrace. And so I'm excited to see that accessibility burst open and really meet people fundamentally, you know, on the device that makes the most sense for where they're at.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. This is, you know, I'm just thrilled that, and in fact, it sounds to me like everybody in the room is very optimistic and excited about what's lying ahead. And if I can just add the final word here, and I know you guys, Daniel, you want to push us out of here, but, you know, I want to say that just a few days ago, I was running, you know, and again, I'm kind of like just expressing one last opinion here. Talking about one of the biggest challenges has been, when it comes to web, has been about ray tracing. Ray tracing on the web has been really one of the major challenges. Recently, I saw some demo by a guy named Felix Mayer, who managed to showcase real-time ray tracing by binding WebXR to WebGPU, which I'm starting to believe is a successor to WebGL. And maybe utilizing some of the other backend like Vulkan and Metal and OpenGL 3.0, which is when it's finally out. I think we are in for some real big surprises coming up. And I'm, at least from my perspective, I'm confident that we will eventually fulfill this dream of immersive web. So yeah, thank you, Joy, Trent, and Diego. This is really great. great participation. And of course, thank you, Ben, Erwin, Daniel. Daniel, I'm having a hard time with, I think it's diversity, Bryant, right? Julie, Smith, and Sophie, Moshasha, and of course, Ken Alexander that made this possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Haggai. Thank you, Diego,
Thank
Joy,
you.
Trent.
Have a great day.
Just before you go, Haggai, I love that comment you made about maybe the Quest battery life is on purpose. That made me laugh out loud. I just have this vision of some coder thinking, we can't let people have this on their head for more than an hour, and quickly writing script to cut the battery down. That cracked me up. Loved your
But
conversation.
I wanted to add that I said I get tired and I carry it here, but my record is like 7 hours straight in
Wow.
this headset, so it is possible.
It is possible
to keep it on.
you to work towards it.
Yes.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you
Thank
again.
you
Have a
very
great
much.
day.